Welcome. This is Resetting the Bar. Today's topic is spiritual gifts. This is a study of Daniel. Just wanted to jump right in. Daniel chapter 1, verse 4. Children in whom was no blemish, but well favored, and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. So the context here is that Daniel and his friends, Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael, were basically in the land of the Chaldeans under a king, Nebuchadnezzar, his rule. And Nebuchadnezzar had been put into power basically through God and was being used. Although he was a wicked king, he was being used by God in many different ways. However, Daniel was a special person. He, as I was saying here, he had gifts, he had talents, he had abilities. All of his, they were the children of Israel. They're captives, but they were blessed in that God kept them in this land, in this land of heathen, basically, and they were all just in essence being kept and were rising to a level of stature and power, and it was through the power of God. It was spiritual gifts that had them noticed by the king, and others around him, or others around Daniel, saw his favor before God, the true God. And so on that topic there, we want to just kind of see, where is it that spiritual gifts come from? Well, Daniel chapter 1, verse 17. As for the four children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. So the spiritual gifts come from God. That's no surprise. But there is something to be taken here. Chapter 1, verse 20, and in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were in all his realm. So King Nebuchadnezzar relied on wicked people, magicians and astrologers, those that practice witchcraft and dabble in the occult. So there are those that believe that it's the devil's imitation, that they can mimic the power of God through dark matter and dark practices. And in essence, God's light, God's spiritual gifts are 10 times better here. That's from an earthly standpoint. The king is seeing that the Daniel and his fellows, they're far superior, because what's living inside of them is the spirit of the living God. That's what's giving them these spiritual gifts. It's the true and living God, the God of Israel. And so for every blessing, every spiritual gift that God imparts on us, there's going to be those that are going to be imitators and would like to mimic the skills and abilities that are given by God. And it's a falsehood. It's just a counterfeit. But a key here that I want you to notice is, for those who have not read the book of Daniel, the context here is that Nebuchadnezzar had a bad dream, essentially, and he didn't understand what it meant. And it was a dream that was inspired by God. God gave Nebuchadnezzar this dream to trouble him, and it was going to be used as a way to lift up Daniel and his companions. So how is it that this child, essentially, in the land. These young boys, these young men, they are, you know, they're already kind of standing in the king's presence, but they're not really at a higher level yet. They're just kind of in the land, but they're going to be lifted up. And the key here is that there's going to be a call to destroy everyone in the land, including those false imitators, the ones that are practicing witchcraft and magicians and astrologers. They let down Nebuchadnezzar because he asked them for the interpretation, and in essence they said, who can know this, but God. They're kind of acknowledging that they don't serve God, the true God. They even know that there's a true God out there and that they're not serving him, and that's the only way. So Daniel hears about this, and he says, on Daniel chapter 2, verse 16, then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time and that he would show the king the interpretation. Then Daniel went to his house. I think there's something important here, that he went to his house and he made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, that they would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning this secret. So I think the key takeaway here is intercessory prayer, being gathered with fellow believers. Daniel went back to his house to be with his friends, his companions, his brethren, and made the thing known to them so that they would pray and that they would ask God, to help them with this, because Daniel was going to have to go give the interpretation to Nebuchadnezzar, and interpretation and dreams and all of these things, they're spiritual gifts, but our gifts, in essence, have to be activated through prayer. God can give us these gifts, but we have to ask God to reveal these things to us. God gives us as he wishes and as he wills, and as liberally as he would, he'll give it to you. You have to ask, you have to pray. And I think it's powerful that Daniel goes to, his friends, and he asks them basically to pray. Fellow believers praying for you, that just the power of prayer, being gathered together and utilizing that, where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. Jesus tells us this for a reason, so that we would pray, and that he would reveal himself to us, and that he would use our gifts that he's given us for our good, and to help others. And so I feel that we need to take this example, and to go in prayer about spiritual gifts, because we need these spiritual gifts in our lives. We're combating spiritual enemies, spiritual warfare. Go to Ephesians 6, read about spiritual warfare. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but spiritual, for the pulling down of strongholds. We need these spiritual gifts, this time of prayer and intercessory prayer, so that we have the power to combat the works of darkness. And I want to just close by looking at the rest of the Daniel chapter 2. I'm going to just read out, close with this. Chapter 2, verse 19. Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding. He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him. I thank thee and praise thee, O thou God of my fathers, who hast given me wisdom and might, and hast made known unto me now what we desired of thee. For thou hast now made known unto us the king's matter. Go to God in prayer. Ask for spiritual gifts. Ask for favor. If you have something that you have need of, pray about it. Ask others to pray about it with you. Continue unceasing in prayer. Time is getting short. I pray that God blesses you and keeps you this day. In Jesus' name, amen.